You're welcome in our community updated sport news. Click on the subscribe ring for becoming one of the community who will win the Premier League. Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, Manchester City, Brighton. The feeling from them now is good. FIFA confirmed Saudi Arabia as 2034 World Cup host. The 2034 Men's Football World Cup will be held in Saudi Arabia, while Spain, Portugal and Morocco will be joint hosts. For the 2030 tournament, world governing body FIFA has confirmed 3 matches in the 2030 tournament will also be held in Argentina, Paraguay and Uruguay to mark 100 years of the competition. The hosts for both World Cups were confirmed at Wednesday's extraordinary FIFA Congress meeting following a vote. All 211 of FIFA's member nations were represented at the meeting over a video link. The hosts for both tournaments and of the 2030 centenary celebrations were confirmed via 2 separate votes. The first selected Uruguay, Paraguay and Argentina as the centenary hosts. The second confirmed the 3 hosts for 2030, as well as Saudi Arabia being awarded the 2034 tournament. Nations gave their votes by acclamation, clapping in front of their cameras via their video links. Norway opted to abstain from giving their approval for the 2034 tournament being awarded to Saudi Arabia because of the bidding process, not because Saudi Arabia were named hosts. Switzerland also asked for their observations before the vote to be included in the meeting minutes. In all 3 decisions, just one voting option was available, shrouding the proceedings in controversy. Saudi Arabia has been accused of sports washing in recent years, using its unprecedented spending on sport to improve the oil-producing kingdom's reputation over its human rights record and environmental impact. Of the 15 stadiums identified to hold matches at the 2034 World Cup, 4 have been built so far. The Men's Football World Cup will take place in Saudi Arabia in 2034 with the promise of one-of-a-kind stadiums and organizers insisting everyone is welcome. However, the decision to award the tournament to the kingdom, which will feature 11 stadiums that have not been built yet, 1 in a new city that hasn't been built, is a controversial one. Saudi's bid was unopposed and the Football Association backed the 2034 host in Wednesday's FIFA meeting. It is the 2nd time the competition will be held in the Middle East following the Qatar World Cup. In 2022, Saudi Arabia has invested around £5 billion in sports since 2021, when the country's Crown Prince, Mohammed bin Salman, made it a key part of his strategy to diversify the economy, with a host of major sporting events brought to the kingdom, including high-profile boxing and Formula One. The country's domestic football league now includes world stars such as Cristiano Ronaldo, Karim Benzema and Neymar Jr., and the country's public investment fund owns Newcastle United and launched the Breakaway League Golf Series. However, the country has been accused of sports washing, using its unprecedented spending on sport to improve the oil-producing kingdom's reputation over its human rights record and environmental impact.
Support for the bids, which were also backed by the Scottish and Welsh FAs. England's FA said in a statement, after a careful review of both proposals, we supported the 2 World Cup bids from Spain, Portugal, Morocco in 2030, and Saudi Arabia in 2034. Both bids are technically strong and meet the FIFA criteria to host the Men's World Cup. Our focus is on ensuring that all our fans can attend and enjoy tournaments. The Football Supporters Association said fans had very serious misgivings about how these World Cups were awarded and questions around the supporter experience, particularly in Saudi Arabia. It added that human rights criticisms had been brushed aside and concerns from LGBT+ supporters completely ignored, and said it had raised these issues with the FA. FIFA President Gianni Infantino responded to criticism the organization has received over the decisions. We are aware of critics and fears and I fully trust our hosts to address all open points, he said. We have a transparency that will shape real and lasting change. That is what we expect and what we look forward to. Social improvements and positive human rights impacts. That is one of the responsibilities of hosting a World Cup, and the world will of course be watching. The Men's Football World Cup will take place in Saudi Arabia in 2034 with the promise of one-of-a-kind stadiums and organizers insisting everyone is welcome. However, the decision to award the tournament to the kingdom, which will feature 11 stadiums that have not been built yet, one in a new city that hasn't been built, is a controversial one. Saudi's bid was unopposed and the Football Association backed the 2034 hosts in Wednesday's FIFA meeting. It is the second time the competition will be held in the Middle East following the Qatar World Cup. In 2022, Saudi Arabia has invested around £5 billion in sports since 2021, when the country's crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman made it a key part of his strategy to diversify the economy, with a host of major sporting events brought to the kingdom, including high-profile boxing and Formula One. The country's domestic football league now includes world stars such as Cristiano Ronaldo, Karim Benzema and Neymar Jr., and the country's public investment fund owns Newcastle United and launched the Breakaway League Golf Series. However, the country has been accused of sports washing, using its unprecedented spending on sport to improve the oil-producing kingdom's reputation over its human rights record and environmental impact. So what will a World Cup in Saudi Arabia look like? Clifftop, a tower and a Mexican wave, 11 new stadiums. FIFA's report into the Saudi World Cup bid. External praises the one-of-a-kind stadium projects that have been proposed. They have tremendous potential and will undoubtedly change the way future stadium designs and structures are approached. The report states, in total, organizers say the Saudi World Cup will be played in 15 stadiums across 5 cities: Riyadh, Jeddah, Abha, Al Khobar and Neom, an as yet unbuilt city in the northwest of the country. The plans for the Neom Stadium show it will be set 350 meters above ground level and will only be accessible via high-speed lifts and driverless vehicles. It is part of the country's The Line project and has been pitched as a car-free city, just 200 meters 656 feet wide and 170 kilometers 106 miles long. The line will be taller than the Empire State Building in New York and about as long as the distance between Bristol and London. The Qiddiya Coast Stadium will feature a ripple designed to evoke the look of a Mexican wave, while the Prince Mohammed bin Salman Stadium in Riyadh will be located on a clifftop. 8 of the tournament stadiums will be in the capital, Riyadh, including the planned 92,760 King Salman International Stadium, which will host the opening game and the final. Of the 15 stadiums, 4 are already built, 8 are planned and 3 are under construction and will host the AFC Asian Cup in 2027. A controversial host, Saudi Arabia has been criticized for its human rights violations, women's rights abuses, the criminalization of homosexuality, the restriction of free speech and the war in Yemen. Non-governmental organizations recently claimed the authorities executed at least 200 individuals in the first 9 months of 2024, the highest for 3 decades. The kingdom's international standing was severely damaged by the 2018 killing of Jamal Khashoggi, a US-based Saudi journalist who was a prominent critic of the government. Human rights campaigners say sport is being used by the Saudi government to detract from long-standing reputation issues. The Saudi government says the investment in sport is boosting the economy, opening it up to tourism and inspiring people to be more active. According to FIFA guidelines, countries bidding to host the event must commit to respect for human rights. In November, FIFA released its evaluation report for the Saudi bid, awarding it an average score of 4.2 out of 5 inches, the highest ever. FIFA claimed there is a good potential that the tournament could serve as a catalyst for some of the ongoing and future reforms and contribute to positive human rights outcomes for people in Saudi Arabia and the region that go beyond the scope of the tournament itself. Last month, however, campaign group Amnesty International said the process to select Saudi Arabia as the 2034 host must be halted unless major human rights reforms were announced. It claimed that hosting the tournament there would likely lead to severe and widespread rights violations. Alcohol is illegal in Saudi Arabia, and there is no suggestion that this will change before the World Cup. Punishments for drinking alcohol include fines, prison sentences, and deportation. We have hosted over 100 sporting events, welcoming 3 million sports fans with no alcohol. Hamid Al-Balawi of the Saudi Arabian Ministry of Sport told Sky earlier this year. External, they have enjoyed their time and discovered what Saudi has to offer: entertainment, art, music, culture, and heritage. Same-sex relations are also illegal in Saudi Arabia, and being transgender is not recognized. The UK Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office advises travelers to the country to respect local traditions, customs, laws and religion so you do not cause offense. It states that travelers can face serious penalties for doing something that might not be illegal in the UK, and people should avoid showing affection in public. Failure to carry personal identification can result in a fine or prison sentence. Speaking to the BBC's sports editor Dan Roan last year, Saudi Arabia's sports minister, Prince Abdulaziz bin Turki Al Faisal, said the controversy over neighboring Qatar's treatment of migrant workers before the 2022 World Cup was not going to be repeated. He also insisted everyone is welcome at the 2034 event. Experience. The bid promises plans to expand airports, introduce high-speed rail links and enhance public transport. However, the vast distances between stadiums means fans who want to move between host cities are likely to have to rely on air travel. Saudi Arabia is the largest country in the Middle East and around 9 times the size of the UK. The World Cup is being expanded and will feature 48 teams from 2026 onwards. That is an increase from the 32 that competed in Qatar. FIFA said extensive enhancements to public transport infrastructure are foreseen within cities, including the launch of the new metro system in Riyadh. 10 fan parks, 2 per city, are planned. As for accommodation for teams, officials, media and fans, the FIFA bid report suggests there is a wide variety of good options to cater for all types of tournament stakeholders. Could it be another winter tournament? The 2034 tournament could be held in the winter to avoid the country's extreme summer temperatures, as with the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. Speaking to the BBC, Sports Minister Prince Abdulaziz said organizers were definitely studying whether it could be staged in the summer. Why not see what the possibilities are to do it in the summer? Whether it is summer or winter, it doesn't matter for us, as long as we make sure that we deliver the right atmosphere to host such an event, he said. Temperatures in Saudi Arabia are at their mildest between October and April. During those months, average daily temperatures in host cities range between 15 Celsius and 3 C. Between May and September, average daily temperatures range between to 7 C and 3 C in inland areas, and to 7 C to 38 C in coastal areas.